Hello and welcome to today's SEJ webinar. I'm Heather. I am the VP of Sales and Marketing here at Search Engine Journal, and I'm really excited that you've chosen to spend your time here with us. With me, I have Sam Garg, the founder of Writesonic. Sam, how are you doing today?
Doing lovely, Heather. Thanks for having me today. Really excited to talk about generative engine optimization today.
Yeah, and I think everybody here is really excited to hear what you have to say. This is Sam's first SEJ webinar with us, so excited to have you here. Sam, where are you based out of?
I'm based out of India at the moment, but I'll be in the US next week. So a lot of traveling around. Yeah.
Nice. I know there's conferences coming up. Are you coming for a conference?
Brighton SEO San Diego.
Brighton, nice. We're going to be there. So anybody out there who's watching today, we will be at Brighton next week. So if you see us walking around with us, I won't be there personally, but we do have some folks. So if you're going to Brighton, let us know. All right, let's get into this. So I'm in West Virginia, so I would love to see any Mountaineers in the chat, but do use the chat. It seems like you all have been here before. You know the drill. Let us know where you're coming in from today. But like we said, we've got Sam here. We're going to talk about GEO, and let me go through some quick housekeeping. So if you need closed captioning, it's the CC in the top right of your screen. We will have some polls for you today. We will have Q&A at the end of the presentation. So if you have questions for Sam, add them to the Q&A tab. If you see something you like, give it a little thumbs up. That'll let us know that it's important to you all out there. We'll do our best to front load those. Before you leave today's call, we do have a quick survey. It lets us know how today's webinar went, and if you have any suggestions for future topics you'd like to see. We are going to have some handouts in the handout tab. I know that Sam has an offer for you all, but it's enough for me. I'm going to stop talking. Sam, they're all yours. So if you want to share your screen and get us started. I know we've got Catherine in the background for tech support. So if anybody needs anything, use the chat. Let us know. Otherwise, I'll be back at the Q&A.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Heather. Okay, so hopefully you all can see my screen now.
Yep, all good.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Thanks, everyone. Whoever is joining in right now. I'm Sam. I'm the founder and CEO of Writesonic. Just a quick intro. Those of you who don't know Writesonic, we started out as an AI content creation platform, and now we have evolved into this whole organic growth engine where we also do generative engine optimization to help you track your brand's AI search visibility. And we are one of the only tools in the market that actually help you improve it as well. So we help you with the exact actions like citation outreach, creating new content, and various other forms of things to help you actually improve your visibility as well. Now, before we dive in, quick question. How many of you feel like search has gotten completely chaotic in the last year or so? If you resonate with that, type yes in the chat. Just to also repeat it again, like if you are seeing that search is evolving quite a bit and, it's kind of getting a bit chaotic as compared to what SEO was before, do type a yes. Just want to see a good like how people feel right now. Okay, yeah, so a lot of different.
I think yeses. It's an overwhelming yes out there.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. And just in terms of the latest numbers, 800 million people right now actively use ChatGPT every week. It's like massive. And your customers are probably asking AI for recommendations right now. So if you're not showing up there, your competitors are, and you're probably missing out on a lot of conversions there. And the worst part is there's no thing like Search Console for ChatGPT or any of these AI platforms. So you are sort of completely flying blind there. Now, there are these like very common questions I see every day, which is like, should I abandon Google for ChatGPT? Or how do I prove ROI when there's no clicks to track? Is everything that we learned about SEO in the last few years like completely useless right now? So people are having these kinds of thoughts. And my favorite one is like, everyone is thinking about just tracking visibility right now, but they don't know any way to actually improve it or map it to ROI. Like, what do I get out of that visibility then, right? So that's what we'll be talking about today, how you can track your visibility, how you can, prioritize what to focus on, and then also improve it as well. Now, quick context about me, just like 30 seconds, why you should listen to me. right? So I'm an engineer by background, been building with AI since 2018, way before it was cool. And in fact, if you have never heard of Writesonic, we were actually one of the first production-ready applications of GPT-3 back in 2021. So we were one of the first content creation platforms, AI content creation platforms. And yeah, basically in 2022 is when then ChatGPT came into the picture. Just 7 days after that, we launched ChatSonic, which was our version of ChatGPT, but it was solving some of those things that ChatGPT was not doing at that time. So if you remember at that time, ChatGPT did not have web search built in. There were a couple of different limitations there. So we were one of the first companies in the market to offer web search built into our chatbot platform called ChatSonic. And tens of millions of users have been using our platform so far. And we have a massive amount of proprietary data, which we do analyze to come up with insights. So what I'm trying to get to here is basically we have built our own AI search system. So we have been on the both sides of the spectrum where we have actually built a system. And then we are also now trying to optimize for it. We're helping brands show up there. And even if you see on the screenshot here, the right-hand screenshot is actually from Satya Nadella's presentation from 2023, which is when they released Bing Chat. And Writesonic was mentioned there as one of those top generative engine/AI search platforms. So just quick context that we have been in this space for a while. So we know a couple of things here that I would love to show here today. Now, other thing is most people right now, again, are talking things, okay, AI search, this and that. But here's some real proof. This graph that you see here is actually from our own data. So until about 3 months back, we used to get about 2.5% of our total leads from AI. So if I look across the entire set of leads that we get every month, 2.5% were from AI. And if you see this number for July, this increased to 11% based on, again, certain things that we did, right? And also one interesting trend that you'll see here on the graph, before 1 in 12 searches, so if I combine, let's say, Google and AI both, so 1 in 12 searches were from AI. But right now, let's say, as per July data, 1 in 3 searches are from AI, which is like a massive increase, right? So every 3 organic leads that we get from search, out of that, 1 is from AI search and 2 are from Google right now, which is, again, that number is massively changing month over month. So just wanted to show you that, okay, this is something that is working and we are seeing much better conversions with ChatGPT or these AI platforms as compared to just Google search or any other channels for that matter. So this does work. Just that's like the point here. Now, again, a lot of people are claiming that, okay, geo is replacing SEO. SEO is useless right now. But what I am here to tell you is that geo still depends very much on SEO. SEO is the foundation of geo. So, and the reason for that, of course, being most of these AI models, and we'll talk about that in a bit as well. Most of these AI models are depending on some sort of web index, whether that is Google or Bing or Brave or any of these other ones for that matter. So much of those like existing SEO and content backbone things do apply for geo as well. And as I told you earlier, for those of you joining right now, these are the 3 things we'll be covering in today's webinar. First, we'll be talking about tracking. What exactly do you need to track? How do you track? Second, we'll talk about prioritization. How do you focus on things that would give you the most business impact? And third, what do you actually do in terms of actions to improve your visibility and overall the ROI that you get from AI search? So with that in mind, let's get right into it. I'll just share some very quick context about overall the state of AI search right now, and then I'll jump straight into tracking. So as I was also showing earlier, overall, like about 800 million weekly active users with ChatGPT right now. This is just ChatGPT. And there's about 300 million more than Bing, which was one of the top, search platforms after Google. But right now, ChatGPT is apparently doing a better job there. And then apart from this, of course, you have Gemini, you have various other AI chatbots as well. And by 2028, it's expected that 50% of all traffic, search traffic, will shift to AI, which is like a massive number. And the key thing here is that 89% of B2B buyers, business-to-business buyers, use GenAI or these AI chatbots as a top information source when they are planning to purchase something. And 71.5% of consumers also use AI for their research, whatever kind of research that they're doing there. And also, like, of course, the way people search, like the behavior is also changing quite a bit. So earlier, if the average search query was 2 words long, that is now 23 words long. So if someone would search for CRM software in 2020, right now people are going very specific in terms of the search queries, which is like, okay, what's the best CRM for a B2B SaaS startup with 20 employees under this much dollars? So it's like very specific set of queries that people are putting in, which is why it is also very important to cater to different personas that you care about and make sure that you're tracking the right prompts, which also includes some persona data as well. Quick primer into how AI search works. I'm sure some of you already know how this works, but it works in terms of like there's this system called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, and then there's this thing called web index. Depending on the model, the web index changes. So what happens is you as a user, let's say, type in a question. Let's say, best CRM platforms under $100. That question is analyzed by AI. In this case, what happens is like this whole query fan out thing happens. It breaks it down into one or more queries. Then based on those queries, it would retrieve the relevant documents from the web index, let's say Google index or Bing index for that matter. It will evaluate that content in terms of quality, relevance, authority. It will re-rank it. So it kind of orders it in a different way from traditional search. So it doesn't, like, it's not that if you're seeing the top 10 search results being used for AI, it will put it in the same order. It doesn't work like that. It actually shuffles it around based on these different evaluation metrics that it has. And then based on that, it generates a response, citing the best sources from that list. And then again, you have the thumbs up and thumbs down button where it takes your feedback, learns, and improves from there. And this is not using live web indexing for most of these AI chatbots right now. It is relying on a web index there. And different platforms use different models. So different indexes, sorry. So ChatGPT free, if you try it out, it uses their own web index because they're trying to save money. They're trying to experiment with their own index. ChatGPT Plus uses Google index right now. This keeps on changing. I think there was a lot of hype around this last few weeks where, ChatGPT was migrating from Bing to Google or using a combination of both. So they keep changing and like experimenting with this. But I think right now they are sticking to Google, at least for the paid plan users. Perplexity is using their own index. Earlier, they used to use Google index. Claude is using Brave's index. Gemini, of course, Google. And then Grok is using a combination of Twitter or X data, and then also a bit of their own web index there. But still, one common thing is that almost every AI chatbot platform is using some index or the other there. And then, of course, query fan out. This is very essential to understand because this really comes down to, like how you do your optimization tasks, because then you're not really optimizing for just one very specific prompt. You're actually optimizing for multiple subqueries. So the way query fan out works is, let's say if your query was best CRM software, it will break it down into multiple subqueries. Let's say, HubSpot versus Pipedrive, or CRM for small business, or CRM reviews, and a bunch of different variations depending on the actual query here. And then it will query each of those in the index, come back with the results, and then use a combination of those results or those pages to come up with the actual answer. So it comes down to a lot of like the intent and to like the topic clusters that you have. So as long as you have like a diverse set of topic clusters which cover each of these topics in depth, you would sort of benefit from here. But if you're just focusing on one keyword, which is like, best CRM software, it might become a problem going forward because, maybe someone who is ranking for some of these subqueries might show up and get cited as compared to you who is just targeting that one query. Now, conversions is another factor. AI traffic usually tends to convert a little bit better than Google because these users are already pre-qualified. Why that is, if you see this diagram here, with traditional SEO, the funnel used to be like this, that first at the awareness stage or tofu stage, top of the funnel, people used to search, okay, what's the best CRM software, right? They would go through like 10 different websites, read a basic overview there. Then they would do a couple of other kinds of queries that, okay, comparison of different CRM features, or what is the pricing of Salesforce. So it's a lot of different touch points that used to happen. And this used to happen over a longer period of time, right? Where the user journey is split across different searches and different platforms. With AI search, what happens is a single conversation is where this entire funnel takes place. So, for example, you would ask, okay, what is the best CRM for 50% SaaS startup? It would recommend you a couple of them. Then you would ask, okay, what are the reviews of this specific tool and what is the pricing here? Again, it would give you something. And then the user would ask, okay, which one do you recommend based on, these factors? So basically, that entire one conversation becomes that recommendation engine where the user can ask any question they want. AI will answer it. And then, of course, many people still tend to use a combination of AI and Google, where once they get an answer from AI, they would in parallel go to Google, just double confirm everything, that everything makes sense. Some people also directly go from AI to your platform or the service page itself. But the journey has reduced quite a bit. The AI creates much more like informed buyers, where they're already doing their research on ChatGPT or these platforms itself instead of going through all of these different steps. So you're getting much more informed buyer. That is where your conversion rate, even though you might get lesser number of people coming from AI, the conversion rate is actually better there. And yeah, this is like your SEO in 2005 moment. In 2005, the whole SEO era began. There was Google, there were these first movers, Amazon, eBay, all these other kinds of platforms. And now it is the time for AI search. So the earlier you or your company picks this up, the better it is for you, because you have this whole advantage then going forward, because you can build the authority, leverage that authority, and really take advantage of this new market. Quick poll time now. So you'll see a poll pop up on your screen, I think, in the next couple of seconds. What is your biggest generative engine optimization challenge right now? So the options here are: you don't know yet where you want to start. You're still pretty new to this. You're exploring. Second is you are tracking it, but you can't really improve the visibility, or you don't know what exactly to do after that. Third is, okay, you are taking actions, you're tracking the visibility, but you're not seeing any results. So there's no actual results that you're able to attribute. And fourth is, you can't yet prove the ROI to your leadership. So mention whatever, like wherever you are in the poll, and we'll show the answers in the next couple of seconds. So we'll wait next couple of seconds just for everyone to select one of these answers in the poll.
And we're going to get that maxed up there for you too, Sam, but those are starting to come through. Sam, did you launch that? Did you launch the poll? I
did not actually. No.
Interesting. I have lost some of my functionality. I can't tell you what answers or what. There we go. Okay, here. I think there. Oh, there we go. I think there was a glitch with the system. Sorry, everybody. Okay. So we've got the majority of people, 44% of them saying don't know where to start, with 22% saying they can't track, or they can track, but they can't really improve visibility.
That's very interesting, actually. So I think, then majority of the people here don't know where to start, which is what we'll be covering today. And then there's a good chunk of people who have started tracking, probably using some tool or manually via spreadsheets, but don't know exactly what to do to improve. So very interesting. We'll cover all of these things. So hopefully after this webinar, you'll get a much better idea of where to start and what exactly are the actions that you need to take there. All right, so we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so as we have enough context now let's get to the main set of items, which is tracking, right? First set of items is what do you want to track, how to track. So before we jump into that, quick vocabulary for AI search. Of course, with AI search, things are changing a bit in terms of the parameters or the metrics that we use. So this is a screenshot of ChatGPT here. The question or the query that you send here, I think almost everyone knows that. That's a prompt. The output that you get out of this, like any model here, is the response, or you can also say answer, AI answer or AI response. When a specific brand, whether your own brand or your competitor's brand, is mentioned in that answer, it's called a mention, right? So it's very similar to rankings, but right now it is more about, okay, are you even showing up there or not? And then secondary thing is the position. At this point, we don't care too much about position. It is more about mention. Am I even mentioned there or not? Right? And then the last bit is citations. Citations on ChatGPT, you would see as this right-hand sidebar, and you would also see inline citations here. So just below some of the sentences in the answer, you'll see this set of inline citations, or you would also see the list of citations on the right-hand side. So this is citations, basically. Quick translation table, if you check this screen here. Keyword, like prompt is very similar to keyword. Of course, it's a more longer tail keyword. Instead of SERP, now you care more about the answer or the response. In terms of ranking, it is more about the mention, whether your brand was mentioned or not mentioned. So it's like a binary outcome. Secondary thing, if you have very good mentions, is then to care about the position. Instead of backlink, it's citation. So these things which are showing up here, these are the citations. And then instead of caring too much about traffic, of course, traffic is still important. The key metric here is visibility. And again, I'll jump into visibility in a bit, but this is like some key terms you should know about AI search before we get to the next steps there. Now, in terms of AI search traffic, again, I think most people think that and track only the human traffic or the referral traffic from chatbots. But the real interesting thing is that human traffic is actually just the tip of the iceberg. You also have this whole AI crawler traffic, which you are not probably seeing on Google Analytics, because you need a server-side tracking to be able to see these bots which are coming to your website, crawling your website. You can't see that in Google Analytics because that's like a client-side tracking software. So about 10% or even actually much lesser percentage of the traffic that you get on your website from AI is human traffic. But there's like a big chunk of it, which is AI crawler traffic, which you probably are not even aware of. There are actually also just here, there are actually different kinds of bots also, just very quickly wanted to mention. So for example, ChatGPT itself has 3 different kinds of bots. There's ChatGPT user, which is the normal ChatGPT bot, which is used when you ask any question. There's also GPT bot, which is basically what ChatGPT uses to scrape data for training the next model, like GPT-6, GPT-7, and so on. And then there's also a search bot as well. So like that, every chatbot has multiple bots. You don't need to allow all of them, but some of those are important for your visibility there, right? And there are a couple of ways you can track this AI bot traffic. One is, of course, if you are tracking your server logs, you can map those server logs, like the different user agents, to those different bots and track that way. It's a manual approach, but yeah, if you want to do that, you can do that. Another thing is if you use Cloudflare, they have this thing called AI crawl control. So in AI crawl control, it shows you the data for all the bots that are visiting your website. Because Cloudflare runs on the server side, that's why it is able to track that data. And then we at Writesonic also have this free tool. It's a completely free software. It's called AI Traffic Analytics. Again, very similar to Cloudflare, but it can track the bots and the humans that are coming to your website. And you can see the exact set of pages which the bots are crawling. So you can then optimize for those pages. And then now tracking the human traffic, or basically the referral traffic, you might see this as like a ref parameter in your GA4, but you can also set up like a regex pattern like this. This is again a very basic one. You can probably get even more complex here by adding few other AI chatbots that might not have been mentioned here. But something like this kind of a regex query, you can add to your settings, and that way you'll be able to track inside GA4 the human traffic. It won't still track the AI bot traffic, but human traffic you can attribute to different AI platforms once someone clicks on a link inside ChatGPT and then comes to your website. Now, let's talk about some key metrics. So we talked about the vocabulary, but let's talk about the key metrics. Like, for example, in case of traditional SEO, you have various things around backlinks and your DR and all those kinds of metrics. Let's talk about 5 most important metrics that you need to track for generative engine optimization. So the first metric is your AI visibility score, which is, again, a score from 0 to 100. That basically tells you how often does your brand or your client's brand show up. So for example, very simple example, let's say if you're tracking 20 prompts and your brand appears in 8 of those 20 prompts, that means you have a 40% visibility. It's basically 8 divided by 20 into 100, right? So number of answers that mention your brand divided by the total number of answers into 100. That gives you your visibility score. And your main goal is that, okay, if my visibility score right now is 40%, how do I get it to 50%? So that more and more answers talk about me rather than my competitor. And this same score you can track both for your brand and also your competitor's brand so that you can do some kind of competitive analysis there. Next one that we have here is brand mentions, which is what we saw just a couple of minutes back. So this basically measures every time that AI talks about your brand in an answer. So on the screen here, this image, if you see, in this case, let's say Right Sonic was mentioned here in this prompt. So this is my mention, and I need to track like how many mentions I'm getting overall. For example, in the case of Stripe, if they're showing up like, okay, 47 times across 100 payment-related prompts, so that is something you want to track there. Next, we have the citation rate. This is very important for you if you want to make sure that your own content is being cited on these models. So it tells you how often your content is being cited as a reference, which was the citations section that we saw a few minutes back. And it tells you basically, in terms of your website, is that like a good enough high authority source that is being used to answer queries. And also it helps you establish as an authority there so you can control the narrative. The more your content shows up, the better you can control the narrative there on AI. Next, we have share of voice. Share of voice is basically like a market share. So it's basically your visibility percentage compared to all the competitors combined in AI answers. So in this screenshot, if you see here, it's a 100% metric. So in this case, let's say Stripe has a market share of 32%, PayPal has 25%. So this basically gives you an overall relative idea of how you are doing compared to your competitors and who is winning the market essentially for those topics that you care about. And the last but not least metric here is sentiment score, right? This basically tells you, one, whether you are being perceived as a positive brand or a negative brand. And then secondly, if it is being perceived negatively, you want to basically find which are those citations which are talking about you negatively. Maybe it's like some Trustpilot page, or maybe it's some Reddit thread where someone talked negatively about your pricing or your support, right? So you want to make sure you go there and you get those things fixed so that you can improve your brand perception. And then if it is negative about competitors, you also want to track that because you can leverage them to your advantage in your own positioning to improve your perception. So those are the 5 key metrics. Again, quick poll time. Currently, like, how are you tracking? For those people who mentioned that you are, tracking your AI visibility, how are you tracking right now? Are you using like spreadsheets, like where you're doing manually? Are you using some tools or any other forms of things to track? So we'll take like just 10 seconds and then we'll move on to some actual tracking bits as well.
Okay, those are just starting to come through, Sam. So here we go. They're still coming in, but we got half of them saying that they're not tracking it at all.
Yeah.
Are we? It's dipping down a little bit, but where are you expecting this to shake out at?
Yeah, I think as we saw in the previous poll question, most people mentioned they were not tracking. But I think it's interesting to see that 24% are using some tools, and then 26%, of course, are tracking that manually, which is interesting. It's very hard to track manually. I'll go through that as well. But yeah, that's good to see that at least you're tracking it. Cool. All right. So we'll get right into it. Yeah, so this is like a good weekly tracking system if you're just getting started. I think some of the people here are probably already doing this via spreadsheets and stuff. So basically what I recommend is maybe pick 20 prompts to start with. You can also go with more if you want. Test on 3 platforms which are most relevant for you. To start with, if you want to decide, you can probably pick ChatGPT, Gemini, and AI overviews. Or maybe instead of Gemini, go with Perplexity. It's totally up to you. Test in incognito mode. You don't want to be testing on your main ChatGPT instance. Otherwise, you'll see that there's a lot of personalization that comes into place. So either you can use that temporary chat mode, or you can go into incognito, into the not logged in mode, and test out there. And then, yeah, basically you document all of these findings in a spreadsheet every Monday, set like a reminder for that. And then you do a comparison week to week. Are you improving? Are you declining? All that kind of stuff. So that's the manual way of tracking for someone who is just wanting to get started with it right now. And we'll talk about how do you pick the right prompts and all those things shortly. In terms of platforms, depending on which space you're in or which sector you're in, you can go with different sets. For example, if you're in B2B, probably you want to go with ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity. Whereas if you are in technical, you want to track Claude as well, because Claude is used by a lot of devs. So depending on where your buyer is searching, you probably want to pick 2 or 3 platforms based on that. Now, this is the most important thing, because I see a lot of people make mistake here, which is many people just take their SEO keywords and start tracking that as prompts, which, okay, that's a good starting point, but that's not like the best way to track, because the search behavior, again, is different on AI. So here's like a 4-source method that we use in Writesonic to track, which we have seen work at scale pretty well. So there are 4 different sources where you can source these prompts. One, of course, your own SEO data, Search Console, Ahrefs, right? Or any other tools that you use. So use your existing data. And you probably want to run AI on this to come up with the queries. I'll talk about it in the next slide. But yeah, basically get some of those keywords, some of those questions, longer tail queries from Search Console, from Ahrefs. Second is Reddit, because you also care about industry forums and your social forums as well. Third is Google Keyword Planner. People also ask questions, again, things that Google is tracking. And then fourth bit, which most people tend to miss out, is your own customer data. So if you have a help desk, if you have certain like sales transcripts and stuff, that's where you'll find the most important questions as well, right? Because real customer language beats synthetic data. So these are the 4 ways I would source those initial, let's say, seed keywords or seed set of prompts. Now what you do is there's this prompt that we usually use. It's a big prompt and works out pretty well on Claude, actually. So basically what we are telling here is that you are an expert prompt engineer who understands how real users search. And we're also giving some patterns, the common patterns that actually work in terms of what people search on, let's say, ChatGPT and all these platforms. Now, what we are doing is we are giving the input seed, which is basically those set of questions or the keywords that you got from your Reddit forum or your customer data and all that. And then basically you pass this prompt to Claude. It will generate you a bunch of different kinds of queries of different intents, like direct questions or problem solution queries or persona-based queries and so on. It's a pretty big prompt, but it will give you a very diverse set of prompts that you can start tracking, which are much more realistic than just using keywords or just asking AI directly to generate prompts without any SEO data. And yeah, by the way, we'll send over the slides after the webinar. So feel free to copy this prompt if you want. The other thing here is intent drives the priority. So you, of course, don't want to randomly focus on any set of prompts. You want to focus as a first priority on commercial queries because, of course, business keywords or business prompts are important for you. So things like, okay, best project management tools for small teams or Asana versus Monday comparison. If you were, let's say, a project management tool, those are the kinds of direct buying intent queries or commercial intent queries that you would focus on. Second kind of ones are the more informational queries, which again are important for you. Things like, okay, how to manage projects or what is agile project management. But many of the informational queries actually don't use search. That's one thing. The ones that do use search, and you definitely want to optimize for it, but that is more for optimizing your citation rate rather than your overall visibility. So if you want your visibility to improve and the overall conversions to improve, first focus on this. And then, once you have done this, then go to the informational queries. And then, in terms of estimating AI search volume, this is something that, again, very common question. Okay, is there something that tells us what is the search volume for a specific prompt? There's like a, not so accurate, but like a simple formula if you want to estimate it. Take the Google search volume, multiply it by 0.15. That will give you some sort of like a relative data in terms of how many people are searching for that query. Of course, it doesn't work for every query because for many queries, it's like 0-click searches, right? So, but this is like a decent way to estimate if you just want to take a guess at it. Another thing is we also have a tool around this called Right Sonic Prompt Explorer, which you see in the screenshot here. So we have, based on hundreds of millions of like proprietary conversations that we track, and also a couple of other things, we are able to show you some data and trends around your AI search volume. So you can also leverage that if that's of interest there. But the main thing is to focus on high volume, and commercial intent queries as the top priority. Now, in terms of when to scale, right? Of course, many people initially, though, you want to start probably with manual tracking. Maybe start with 50 prompts, 2 to 4 hours per week. And then, yeah, once you're doing more than that, or it's becoming very hard to manage and you want to do very in-depth analysis, you want to get actions, you want to track the ROI, then probably it's the right time to automate and use a specific AI tracking tool for that. Okay, we talked about tracking now. Hopefully that was good, where we talked about what kind of prompts to pick, how do you actually track them, what to focus on in terms of the intent, right? Now let's get into like the actual actions. What are the things that you can do now once you have tracked those things so that actually you can start to improve your visibility? So we'll, similar to SEO, we'll divide this into 3 pillars: off page, on page, and technical. So let's get right into it because I think we are coming up on time. So we'll just quickly go through some of these things. So the first and the most important one right now probably is off page. Earlier with SEO, that used to be like a lower priority, but right now digital PR, your brand reputation, everything is very important. So it's very important that you focus on that as well. And this is where, again, very like a small set of Wikipedia is one of the most trusted sources. Reddit is something we have seen almost in every industry. That's like the most cited domain, actually. So again, that makes up an action item where you need to start focusing on your Reddit and any other industry forums. Industry publications is another one. And then also you have news websites, again, the ones in your industry or maybe any general ones as well. Now let's get a little bit more specific. This is probably the highest leverage activity or the most important action item that you can do right now. It's like one of the highest impact, lowest hanging fruits right now, which is finding your citation gaps. Now, what does that actually mean, right? So citation gap is basically the pages which are getting cited in AI where your competitors are being mentioned, but you are not being mentioned. So for example, if you see in the screenshot here, this is, by the way, for Calendly, which is like this AI scheduling software. So in Calendly citation data, this Tech Radar article, which is best scheduling apps, shows up for like a very good number of answers. So 45 answers in this case. And it mentions a bunch of their competitors like, Zoho and few other ones here, right? So a lot of these different ones, HubSpot meetings and so on. But Calendly is missing from here. Now, what would be the strategy for Calendly here? Because that one article is used across a bunch of queries. It's not that one article is only cited in one query. One article can be cited in multiple queries. So as we saw in the previous screen, that same article is used across 45 different answers or different prompts, like which apps are best for meeting scheduling or scheduling tools for staff meetings or best scheduling software. So there's a lot of different kinds of queries which use that page as a citation. So if you appear in that one article, you'll automatically appear in maybe not all of those 45, but at least a good number of those 45 queries. And immediately you'll get an increase in your visibility because that page is already cited. So it's not like SEO where it takes a lot of time to index. With AI, within 1 to 2 days, you will start seeing that, okay, because I got mentioned there and that page is already cited, my visibility improved immediately like 0.5% there, right? So this is one of the highest leverage activities. And what you can do to actually now, okay, once you've identified these set of articles, the citation gaps, you want to probably do some outreach to them to ask them to mention your product or service there. So we have seen this kind of an email template. Again, this is like a very bare bones template, but this kind of a thing worked for us because we have been doing these experiments last few months where you just, reach out to that person, and just say that, okay, I can offer this value. Don't focus on just asking for getting mentioned there. Give some value. Maybe you have some new industry data, or maybe you can give your software subscription for free for like 1 month or 1 year or so on. Or maybe you can just straight away like do a paid collaboration that, okay, I'll pay you $500 for putting me on this article, right? So depending on what works in your industry, give some value to that the author of that article so that you can get mentioned there. And usually with this kind of an email, short to the point email, we are seeing a good like 15 to 20% response rate. There are three more ways if, apart from outreach. So one is paid advertorials. If you have a lot of money, of course, you can go and do advertisements or work on these industry websites. Unlike SEO, sponsored content has good visibility on AI actually. So it doesn't matter if it is sponsored or it's not sponsored. As long as it will get indexed by AI, it will be used in the same way as a non-sponsored article. So advertorials are totally fine to do, right? If you have the budget for it. Second thing is digital PR. Everyone has been talking about this. So of course, press releases, podcasts, conferences, those have a lot of impact as well. So make sure you do some kind of digital PR. And then partnerships is another one. If you can do any affiliate programs or work on any integration directories, that's like another good source of getting yourself mentioned in these industry websites or forums. And of course, you can mix all four of these activities to get the best results. Next, so the very first thing we talked about was citation gap opportunities. The next thing here is UGC and Reddit, which is where you need to focus on these UGC forums and the social forums as well. Reddit, as I mentioned, is the number one cited source for almost every industry right now. So there's a simple formula that you can use here. Monitor about 5 subreddits. Make 3 valuable posts weekly. Don't do it promotional. Make it like very valuable. Post maybe like 2 helpful comments daily, and maybe 1 AMA you can do quarterly. That much is like a good starting point to get started with Reddit, and it will show you good results because Reddit is being cited quite a bit everywhere. And then, apart from Reddit, there's also, your industry specific forums where you have, go and answer some industry questions in your forums. If you have certain like communities that you are a part of, let's say for any tech audience, it's Stack Overflow, or for home improvement, it is House. So those kinds of niche communities which are indexed on Google and these other platforms, go ahead and engage there. And then last bit also is publish your own thought leadership content and engage in discussions on things like LinkedIn Pulse and other places as well. So the more trust you build out via these different sources, the better it is for you to increase your number of brand mentions there. And as a consequence of that, improve your visibility. Now, this is one of the sort of more important bits, which is control your reference data. So on the screenshots, if you see, we were known as, like WriteSonic was known as an AI writing tool. So a lot of places, people talk about us as an AI writing tool, which is something we have been trying to change our positioning to focus more on AI visibility and geo kind of platform. So just a couple of weeks back, we got our Wikipedia page updated, and it has already been used in a bunch of different answers in terms of citations. Another thing is, if you are in the B2B software space, definitely focus on G2 and Capterra. That plays a big role as well because people ask questions where they are comparing your product with someone else. So you want to show up there. You want to make sure you have a premium profile and good reviews and those kinds of things. And then again, you have the industry directories as well, like partner directories, professional associations, and so on. And again, like a continuation from the previous point, fix your messaging everywhere. This is very, very important. Quick example here, I think I mentioned, for us, not just Wikipedia, but a bunch of other places also, even our own website, a lot of older articles mention about WriteSonic as an AI writing tool. So for example, if someone goes to now ChatGPT or Google AI overviews and they ask, what is WriteSonic? It used to and still does to some extent, that WriteSonic is an AI writing tool, right? Which is something that we have evolved from quite some time back. So everywhere, wherever someone mentions us as an AI writing tool, we are trying to get that increased or changed to a geo platform. And that is something that we have already started seeing some increase in. And overall, I think in the next couple of months, we'll start seeing results from that as we get more and more of these articles updated. So make sure you're using consistent messaging everywhere, basically. Now, next pillar is on-page optimization. I'll quickly skim through it. So the most important thing here is find the winning patterns. So in terms of, for each of those cited pages, you can see that, okay, competitor has some pages, there are some third-party pages, but many of them are talking about the same topic, but in a different way. So in this screenshot, if you see, this is for, I think, Stripe. So this top one here is best international money transfer companies. Now, there are a bunch of articles which are talking about the same thing, but in a little bit different way, right? But each of them, like combined, they are getting like hundreds of citations. So what you can do there is learn from that and create your own article, which is more comprehensive, more current. So instead of top 7 or top 10, you focus on maybe 15 best international money transfer services. You include a detailed comparison table, you update it monthly, add more fresher data. Because you are basing it on the cited articles which are already being cited, it will help you show up because it's tried and tested. Yeah. And then, yeah, of course, this I think everyone knows here. Structure the content well in terms of making sure your brand name is mentioned instead of we or ours, because AI associates your brand with like certain entities. So you don't want that you just mention we or our. You should mention the full brand name in most places, right? Ensure that you have a proper structure, use lists and bullet points, FAQs and schemas, and then of course add like a TLDR or some key takeaways and decision matrix upfront. And just avoid like writing super long articles. Those used to work like 1 year before, but they don't work now. So if you can say something in 1,000 words, that's better than doing like 5,000 words on the same thing. And also content freshness wins. So make sure your top 10 pages are updated every week. Next 20 pages, maybe like bi-weekly, and rest you do at least a monthly refresh. And you should also add certain quick wins like updated in September 2025 or some new statistics and those kinds of things. Make sure your content is fresh and it also showing up as fresh. And then one of the last bits here is to do comparison content. That is something that works very well. AI loves it. So do two-way comparisons and also three-way comparisons, like Asana versus Monday and Asana versus Monday versus ClickUp. So those 2 and 3-way comparisons are something that AI loves. So definitely do content like that. And then one very interesting stat. This was one of our clients. They started with 0% visibility, I think 2 weeks back. This is just 2 weeks old. In the last 2 weeks, they have increased their visibility to 3% already. And this is in like a very competitive space. This company has a DR of 9, just 9 DR. They used our article writer to write AI content. And interestingly, what we are seeing is that AI content works better on AI. It might not rank fully on Google, but AI definitely picks it up quite well. So that's something also to try out. Based on our experiments, like AI content is working quite well on AI. Now, last but not least, we'll talk about technical foundation, because without that, I mean, you're basically not being indexed. So the very first thing is to allow the right bots in your robots.txt file. This is just a list of 3-4 of those agents, but make sure all the main agents from the main AI chatbots are allowed there. Those are not disallowed, because then no crawls. If there are no crawls, then means you don't have much visibility there. Check your CDN settings. If you're using Cloudflare specifically, make sure that Cloudflare is not blocking those bots. We have seen a lot of cases where default settings are blocking like 40% of those AI bots, right? So definitely go to Cloudflare or any other CDN that you use and make sure that those bots are present in your allow list. And then also find and fix your broken pages. For this, you'll need server data to figure out which pages are erroring out, like 403 errors or 404 errors. You can use Cloudflare Analytics also for this, like the AI one, Cloudflare AI Analytics, and you can also use our traffic analytics for this. And then JavaScript is another problem, I think, with React and all those kinds of things. A lot of people are using JavaScript on their websites right now, but AI does not see that well. So make sure you're using server-side rendering or static site generation so that the content is actually indexable. And LLMs.txt, way too overhyped. Don't worry about this. Don't waste your time on this. We have a lot of data to prove this. None of the bots are hitting that website, that file right now. So don't waste your time here. Just focus on robots.txt if you really want to. Don't worry about this LLMs.txt file. No one is like actually using it right now. I think we'll quickly skip this just for the sake of time. So yeah, just last few things. All of these things that I mentioned here, you can do that manually. It will take you a lot of time and effort. But also, right, Sonic, like we are unique in this, that we have this thing called AI Action Center. It automatically shows you all of those items. It gives you the exact set of things that you need to do. And also, you can track the response from that, like the result from that. So it will show you that, okay, you got cited on this website, which increase your citation and also your visibility by 5%, right? So everything here is an action, what specific things you need to do. And then you can also track the ROI back from it. So only platform in the market which is giving you the exact set of items to actually improve your visibility and not just do the tracking there. So yeah, I mean, there you have everything that you need. Start with one of those pillars, maybe technical, on page, off page, whatever makes sense for you. See some of those results, start tracking, and then sort of scale from there. And then, yeah, if you want a platform for automating all that tracking and actions and the ROI, definitely check out Sonic. We also have some offers, which you might see on the screen and also in the handouts. So definitely you can leverage Sonic for all of this, especially the actions bit and getting like very in-depth analytics, AI search volume, all those kinds of things. And then, yeah, this is our offer. So basically, if you sign up using this QR code for $1, you can get a free seven days trial. We'll also be sending like a Geo Playbook with all of these items that we discussed. And if you use this coupon code, you'll get 30% off for the first 3 months. And if you are an enterprise or an agency or a mid-market, definitely, go to this link, get like a personalized demo. We can do a personalized audit for you. And we have very special pricing for agencies specifically, because we are seeing a lot of agencies that are benefiting from this. Their clients are asking about this. So if you're an agency or an enterprise, do reach out. We would be happy to do a personalized demo for you. And yeah, I think that's about that Q&A time. So happy to answer any questions. If you have any in the Q&A.
Sam, that was great stuff. We have a lot of questions. We're not going to be able to get through them all. We only have 8 minutes, but that was fantastic information. Lots of chats going on. I love to see it. So let's get to some of these questions. If anybody's curious, you will get the full recording and slides in your inbox later. So watch for that. All right, here we go. So question from Jason. For smaller businesses with limited time and budget, what's the simplest way to get started tracking AI visibility without getting overwhelmed?
Right. For smaller businesses, probably, as I mentioned, you can right now start with like a spreadsheet where you're just tracking maybe 20 to 50 prompts every week. Start seeing if you're seeing any results, and also track your Google Analytics. So if you're seeing any human referrals starting to come from these AI chatbot platforms, that's a good starting point. And then, yeah, if that is too much work, then you can start with just tracking, but like get a tool that can help you track. But yeah, that's usually the starting point.
Elias asks, how do you know if it's a higher purchase intent versus someone just like looking for information or research?
Yeah, usually higher purchase intent are, similar to SEO. Those are queries like best alternatives to this, or what are the best tools for this, or in your case, it might be different, again, depending on the industry. But those kinds of queries are the purchase intent queries, where people are trying to compare you against a competitor, or they're trying to figure out the pricing, trying to understand like what are the reviews of this product. So those are like the purchase intent, just as you think like a user. If you want to purchase, those are the questions you'll ask. So that is the set of prompts you want to probably track, as compared to informational ones like what is GEO, what is SEO. That is something probably you don't care that much about, right? Yeah.
So we've had some questions come in about the platform, and I just saw somebody ask if you do consulting, Sam. So, definitely expert knowledge coming through. Anything that's product related or platform related, we will get those questions to you afterwards, Sam, so you can answer those separately. Okay.
Sounds good.
There's a lot to get through. So let's see. So Lasha asks, what GEO-specific strategy should businesses use to stand out specifically in map packs or local AI answers?
This is actually very interesting. So I think a lot of people actually don't realize this, but GEO or like these AI search platforms like ChatGPT also use location data. So for example, if you're based in US, you ask a question, you'll get a little bit different answers compared to if you are in, let's say, UK for that matter. So how you optimize for this is, again, you need to track one on those set of locations, like the exact set of prompts that you care about. Second thing, in terms of the prompts as well, you need to basically have prompts like, for example, what are the best restaurants in New York, or things like that. So define the set of prompts which are important to you. Some of those prompts need to include the location data as well, like New York or wherever that you're optimizing for. And then, yeah, go from there. In terms of the geo-specific strategies, the only difference is that you would probably focus on more local articles or local publications and those kinds of things. But other than that, everything remains the same. It's just a matter of which specific publications or articles that you focus on.
And there was a little bit of a follow-up that Lasha had to that, which is surfacing more contextual answers. What is the role of reviews, photos, and posts on Google for improving local rankings? So is that something that people should still be looking at?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing, right? If you look for a restaurant recommendation, I'm giving like a simple example, but if you ask for a restaurant, you probably also care about the reviews of that restaurant. Same does ChatGPT. So if ChatGPT has to recommend something, it will actually check some of those things in terms of its fan out queries. So of course, something which has better reviews will get better visibility as compared to something which is very negative, or because probably ChatGPT does not want to recommend something which has negative reviews. So it does play a big part in whatever business that you're running there, actually.
Yeah, and there's also value in other, searchers seeing that, right, and having that credibility there. So.
Exactly.
AR has a question: how important is technical SEO in terms of fixing core web vitals and proper FAQ structure, H1 title tags? How do they provide varied? How can these platforms provide varied or different recommendations?
I think technical SEO is still very important, as we sort of covered. So if your site speed is not good, then that means that the AI crawlers won't be able to crawl it. So I think it's definitely important. Core web vitals, I'm not too sure about right now. We have not run like extensive tests on that yet. So definitely page speed is an important factor. But as long as your website is technically optimized and it is, it has a decent speed and also the site structure, you're good there. But the structure of the site is actually very important. And also schema plays a big role there as well. So if you're using FAQ schemas or any other kinds of schemas, that is like a good thing to have.
There were a couple questions around how do we know what prompts our target audience is using on LLMs? Any information here? Joshua also asked about, topic clusters and longer queries, meaning they have to create a lot more topics. So any insight here?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned, those are the 4 things you'll need to leverage right now, which is basically your own customer data in terms of support or sales, Reddit, because many people go and ask things on Reddit, traditional SEO sources. So it's a combination of those things. And then you basically use a combination of those to come up with the potential prompts. Of course, one thing to help here is to have an actual AI search volume data. So if you want that, you can again talk to us. But other than that, you can just focus on those set of queries which you're seeing across these different platforms and infer certain good prompts from there.
Excellent. All right. So let's see. Yeah. There's a lot of questions, and there was a request for this one. I think this is really similar to kind of the core web vitals, but we're going to ask it anyway. How important is schema for getting AI visibility?
So schema basically provides structure to the model. So anything that provides like a standardized structure actually plays a big role in LLMs. So I wouldn't say that it's like the most important factor, but it is an important factor because anywhere where you're helping the AI extract information in a faster, better way, it's definitely going to help you there because it is able to extract that data better. So definitely something I would recommend to focus on.
This is probably going to be the last one that we have time for. There's a lot of good stuff in here, Sam, so you might want to look through these. So Natalia is asking, is there a possibility to reach questions people are asking in my field? Maybe a tool. So is there anything that they can use to research and find out what people are asking, and so they can, write content that matches that narrative?
I think it again comes back to that, the prompt bit. So again, answer the public would be one thing. I think I had covered people also asked questions, which is similar to answer the public. So actually, you'll need to use a combination of that and some of those keywords, let's say from Google or Ahrefs and stuff, to come up with those sort of questions or prompt variations. So I'll share the presentation, but basically you take those seed keywords, you take those seed questions, feed it into AI, a model like Claude with the prompt that I gave, and it will give you a bunch of questions based on those seed keywords. So that's usually a good starting point. And then based on that, you can basically experiment and optimize on those. That's the way to do it, because you don't have a search console, so you can't check the exact data that people are using on ChatGPT. But that's the most relevant method right now, apart from that.
Perfect. I think that's all that we have time for. We're at the top of the hour, Sam. That was a great hour. Rahan's asking if I can ask his question. Rahan, we were going to have to get back to you. We'll have to get back to you offline. So with that, I'm going to close us out. Yes, John, we will send the actual recording out there to anybody else that we didn't get. We'll go through your questions. But first, Sam, tell the people where to find you. Any closing statements or anything?
I think it was a great webinar. Thanks a lot for everyone who kept waiting till the end and listened to the whole thing. So I'm available on LinkedIn. If you have any questions which we were not able to answer right now, please feel free to send me a request on LinkedIn. Happy to answer it there. And as also I shared before, if you're interested in getting like a personalized AI visibility audit for your brand, I think you can check out in the handouts. We'll also send over an email. So feel free to reach out. We're happy to do a quick audit for your brand so you can see where you stand and how to improve there. But yeah, really good to be here. I'm sure we'll do many more of these with Search Engine Journal in the coming months. And thanks a lot to everyone who joined. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Sam, you too. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for everybody for joined us and stuck around. We will be back with next week's webinar. For now, I'll see everybody at the next one. Hope you all have a great day. See you later.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Heather.